Hello and welcome to Nkumat Online Academy. In today's lesson, we want to talk about variation. Variation is the relationship that exists between two or more quantities that determine how one is affected when one of the quantities is changed. That is, how will one of the quantities change when the first one is also changed? Or how will one of the quantities be affected when the other quantity is changed? So variation, varying or changing. So whenever we are talking about variation, we are talking about changing. If we have two quantities A and B, and A is 1 when B is 2, then when A changes to 3, how will B change? That is what we call variation. Now, variation comes in different forms. We have about 5 types of variation. We have direct variation. We have direct variation. We have indirect variation, or what we call inverse variation. Indirect or inverse variation. Then we have constant variation. Constant variation. We have joint variation. And we have partial variation. Partial variation. Now, I will start with direct variation. In direct variation, it talks about how quantities are changed in a direct way. By saying that quantities change in direct way, I mean this. If we have A and B, as two quantities, and when A increases, B also increases, and when A decreases or reduces, B also decreases or reduces, we say that the variation is direct. So that is what we call direct variation. What happens in A also happens in B in direct variation. In direct variation, if we want to state it mathematically, we say that A varies directly as B. This is a sign of variation, the symbol for variation or proportionality. Now, if we have this sign of variation or sign of proportionality, variation is also called proportion. So whenever we are talking about variation, we are also talking about a special form of proportion. So if we want to clear the sign of the proportionality or the sign of variation, we introduce what we call a constant. We normally use K to represent constant, although we can use other things, but most commonly we use K to represent a constant. So if we want to remove this sign of proportionality, we put equal sign. And when we put equal sign, we put k. We multiply the b by k. So we are going to have that. To remove it, we say that a is equal to, we have removed the sign of proportionality or the sign of variation, is equal to, we now put k. Because we remove the sign of proportionality, we put k. This k means constant. Then we multiply it by b. So that means that a is equal to kb. When you state like this, you must say, once you remove the sign of proportionality or sign of variation by putting the constant, you must state that where k is equal to constant or proportionality, constant or proportionality, or you can simply say that k is equal to constant. Now you have removed the sign of proportionality. Now we can make k to stand alone. If we make k to stand alone, k is together with b. So if b is going to the other side, it becomes that k is equal to a over b. K is equal to a over b. Now, this also means if we have that k is equal to a over b, it means that if we have another, if a changes, maybe this one is a1 and this one is b1, and we now have a2 and b2, then it means that a1 over b1 is equal to a2 over b2. If we have another a and b, maybe a3 and b3, we continue doing that way. We put the a on top and b, maybe say a3 over b3. So what this means is that if they give us a1 and they give us b1 and they give us a2 and they ask us to look for b2, what we do is that we just equate two of them like this, and then we do cross multiplication and we now get the one we are looking for. Now let's see an example. Example 1, we have that A varies directly as B. Full stop. If A is 2 when B is 5, find A when B is 3. Okay, find A when B is, let me say 10. When B is 10. Okay. Now because they say that a solution, because they say that A varies directly, you must read the sentence very well to know whether it is direct proportion, indirect proportion, constant proportion A. Just to determine the type of proportion, it has been stated that it varies directly. In variation, this is very, very important. You must know the type of variation before you start solving. Now, varies directly. So we are now going to use the formula for direct variation. So we now say that if they are varying directly, then and we have different A and different B. Of course, we have the first A, which is 2, and first B, which is 5, and then we have another B, which is 10, and then we are looking for another A. So we have 2A and 2B. So we now use the formula that A1 over B1 is equal to A2 over B2. Now, first of all, before we write this, we have to state that A varies directly as B, and that A is equal to KB. And then we say that where K is equal to constants, we must state this formula like this. We must state everything that where K is equal to constants, especially if this is a theory question, you must state it this way. Each step you take will give you a mark. If you go straight and put the formula and start solving, you will lose the marks you are supposed to get from these steps. Now, when you state this, you now say that where K now is equal to, you make K the subject of the formula, K is equal to A over B. And now you say that A1 over B1 is equal to A2 over B2. Now this will show the examiner that you know how to get the formula. That you did not just cram the formula. That is the essence of starting from the start. You start from the beginning of it and drive the formula. Each of the steps will give you a mark to show that you did not cram the formula. So when you state it now and get to this point, now you can now put your values. I will solve this question in different forms. I will use the formula to solve it, and I will also solve it without using the formula. Let me use the formula first. Now, when we now put the formula, we say that A1 over B1 is equal to A2 over B2. Now, A1 is 2 and B2 is 5. Now, that means 2 over 5. We are looking for A2 and we know B2 as 10. A2 over 10. Now that we have this, we do cross multiplication, bring this one to this and take this one to this. So it becomes that A2 times by 5 is equal to 2 times by 10. So 5A2 is equal to 20. So 82 is equal to 20 over 5, which is equal to 4. 20 over 5 is equal to 4. So from this you can see that A increased from 2 to 4, and you know that B increased from 5 to 10. So this is in line with our definition for direct variation. We say that in direct variation, if A increases, B will also increase. And if A reduces, B will also reduce. So here, B increases and A also increases. So it is in line with our definition. Now let me solve the same question with second method without using the formula. Now, when we get to the point of A equal to KB, and now we have that K is equal to A over B. Now we put the first A and the first B given to us and divide to get our K, the value for K. Now that is equal to A is 2 and B is 5. So we say that K is equal to 2 over 5. We can leave it this way. Is equal to 2 over 5. We can divide out to get the actual value, or we can leave it this way. Now, the next thing we are going to do is that we now say that for the second one, where when B is equal to 10, then we know that the formula is that A is equal to K times B. So A is equal to 2 over 5 times by 10, now which is equal to 2 over 10, 2 over 5 times by 10 over 1. Anything standing on its own is also the number divided by 1. So that will give us, from here, 2 times 10 is equal to 20, which is equal to 20 over, the down one is 5 times 1, 20 over 5, and that will give us 4. So the answer again is 4. So whether we use the direct formula or we use the second method, we will always get the same answer. So the choice is yours to know the one that you can use more comfortably. So this is it about direct variation. I hope that this lesson is clear.